Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you're new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they're live, and a link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show, as sharing the show increases the live audience, of course, and this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show, and one last time, if you are new to the channel or you have not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Sleeping Warrior and Spurs. How are you both doing?
All is good, all is good.
Good afternoon, guys. Good afternoon.
Good to have you both here. I understand you were chatting quite extensively yesterday with the ballers, Spurs.
Yeah, as always, I'm always discussing the shape of the Earth. It's the biggest thing to happen to our generation. So yeah, I'm always interested in that discussion. But give me 10 minutes, and I'll be back with you.
Yeah, no worries. I mean, you say the biggest thing that's happened to this is not direct to you, Spurs. I know you're on mute for the moment. But I think it's the biggest deception in mankind's history.
Yeah.
The heliocentric deception is the biggest deception ever put on man.
Yeah, I agree. The question becomes why. But I'll tell you what was interesting. I was having a discussion with Lewis, and Lewis has found his feet now. He's worked out where he fits, and he's become a lot more cordial with people. He's not as idiot as what he used to be. And I said to him, how is it possible that the education system that is the Western world, which is perceived to be the greatest in the world on Earth, be it English or American, who cares which, how is it possible that it can raise people that critically analyze, perceive, interpret the shape of the Earth? Shouldn't it be black and white obvious that all of us are on the same wavelength and there's no challenge to it whatsoever? And what's the answer to the question? I mean, why is it that we exist? Is it because we're all retards, or is it because we're not satisfied on the burden of the proof and the evidence that's required for that one point? Think about it. Why does Flat Earth even exist? Is it because we're all retards, or is it because we're just not satisfied with the evidence?
Well, the education system isn't designed to produce critical thinkers. It's designed to produce good workers.
Yeah. There we go. Just popping out the chat. Yeah, that's it. That's it. The education system. If you do what they say and remember what they tell you to remember, and don't look at anywhere else, because you don't need to look anywhere else. You need these answers to pass your tests. Then you're never going to have a problem. You'll pass your exams, and you'll probably get a reasonably well-paid job. You'll fit into a nice position in the society of the world we live in, and there won't be any problems. But when we were talking with what's his name, Philip, Philip realized and was honest about it that there were certain things that do undermine the position of a physicist studying for a PhD. He accepts that there are interpretations of some evidences that do cause him issue, and he said he was going to go away and look at certain things. And one of the things that I've asked him to look at is the idea that we have a molten iron core. Because on their model, once the Curie temperature of iron is met, it loses its permanent magnetic state to be replaced with an induced magnetism. But where does that induced magnetism come from if it's not the electric universe? And obviously the electric universe is not their model, so that means that's out the window. So what is the inductive force that is required by physics to make the molten iron core magnetic? And he's gone to look it up. Where does the magnetism actually come from? So he's going to come back in a couple of weeks with that, and hopefully he'll either put me right and show me the proof, or he'll come back and say I've not found anything. That would make it pseudoscience and therefore not evidence. It would be pseudoscience. So I see in chat there's convection currents, that's simple, but there's no evidence for it. There is no evidence that shows that molten iron will create its own self-perpetual magnetic or electronic field. It just flows. You can see it going down a mountain, a volcano. It just flows. It doesn't create its own current. It doesn't create its own magnetism. And yes, you could compare it to sodium if you want to, even though when you chuck sodium in water, it explodes. It's seen as not being similar in real world. But if in chemistry, it's seen as being similar. But it's clearly not, because steel or iron doesn't explode when you chuck it into water. So convection currents aren't the evidence that's required. It might be simple, but it doesn't make it true.
That's the order of the day. See something and then give it a name.
Yeah. There's heat in the earth. It rotates. Liquid molten iron rotates, ergo convection currents. Nobody disputes that there are convection currents. We don't really know what's under there, but I accept the logic and the reason for what you say. It makes sense logically. It isn't true because there's no evidence to prove that it's true. There's no evidence of anything below 8 miles. It's just all seismographs. And based on the interpretation of the seismographs, they admitted that they were wrong with their interpretations when they did the super deep coal borehole. So, yeah, you can claim whatever you want, but if there isn't any evidence to support it, then them assertions and claims can be dismissed without evidence too. Logic and reason isn't proof. Milu Lugu, Anthony, what's the Curie temperature for sodium? There is no Curie temperature for sodium. It's so low that there is a Curie temperature for sodium, but it's so low that it's like, I think it's about 80 degrees or something silly like that. It's really low. It's not really considered even on the table because it's so low. I can look it up for you. Let's have a look. Curie temp for sodium. I think it's about 80 degrees or 90 degrees, but it's so low, it's not even Curie point. Curie point for all the elements in the table. So let's have a look. Sodium. Trying to see it on a tiny window.
Okay, so Anthony, Debbie will come on. Wants to come on. Don't snipe her.
So its melting point is 97 degrees. Sodium.
Anthony, you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we heard you.
What name's she coming on as?
That's Debbie. Debbie.
Right, okay. She normally joins with a troll. Somebody joins in her name, though. That's the only trouble.
Yeah, press that link now. Come, go, quickly. Speak. Should have just said in the message part. But yeah, I mean, I was saying that you get an opportunity to speak to the public about how you understand that the Earth is flat. So she'll come and do that.
So which Debbie is this?
She's a flat earther.
Yeah, what's the rest of the name? Debbie what?
Durant.
Oh, is this the one that's been with Reds recently?
Yeah. But yeah, they've been giving a hard time, giving all of us a hard time, or trying to anyway. But she knows her stuff. She tackled Tim's video yesterday. It's very interesting. So I'd just like to hear her explanation on it. So if she comes on, we can hear that.
She tackled Tim's video on the salt flats.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, just asking why is the reflection of the mountains in the background not consistent with a bulge between you and the observer? There's no answer to that from Tim.
Yeah, he was very vague about giving details about the video. It's understandable. It proves it's flat.
Milo Lugo, Curie temp for sodium. Well, the melting point's 97.72 Celsius. And once it Yeah, I forgot to look it up. I found the page and then I forgot to find the Curie temp. Bear with me. Yeah, I was going to say I didn't think it had one. The Curie point doesn't have one because it's paramagnetic. Not that I know what that means, but it doesn't have a Curie point. Are you going to the convention tomorrow, Spruce?
Maybe, yeah. Yeah, good possibility. You looking forward to it?
Yeah, certainly am. For those of you not aware, there's an exclusive reveal at the convention in Birmingham tomorrow. It's going to go out in the convention in the evening at about 7:30, I believe it is. And then once it goes out on the convention, it'll then be produced on Nathan's show on the Saturday. And then hopefully, if the gods be, we should end up on Globebusters presenting it for the wider audience on the Sunday. If you go in, it's an exclusive, so nobody else has seen it. It's not public yet, and it won't be public until Saturday. But you'll see it on the Friday night if you're there, and it's really good. And it came on as a result of this channel. It came because we challenged them, and they come back with requests, and then they were complied with. Dark Star says it's not just the molten core they have to be incorrect about, though, Ryan Vincent. If you believe Anthony and co., you have to believe the experts are wrong about everything. Hard to believe. Just ask for proof. There is no scientific proof of the shape of the Earth, of the whatever's below 8 miles. There is no scientific proof, and there is no scientific proof that the Earth spins. There is no proof of all the things that the ballers believe. They think there's proof. They accept that there's proof. But when you actually request it, there is none. It's just stories. Now, some of the stories will have elements of truth to them, but it doesn't mean the bigger picture is true. You may find evidence to support a little piece of an argument, but it doesn't mean that the bigger pieces all fit together, because they don't. Debbie debunked Tim's video by pointing out she couldn't see any fish or buffalo. Is Beelu the source for this stuff? Nope. Shout out to Beelu.
I'm going to do a quick plug for the Flat Earth Convention. So, Flat Earth Convention, which is at Jury's Inn, Broad Street, Birmingham, centre of Birmingham, the 27th, 28th and 29th, which is Friday, Saturday and Sunday of this week. Probably see from the countdown, one day 20 hours, 41 hours. Sorry, one day, 20 hours, 41 minutes and 10 seconds. There we go. Flat Earth Convention, and we'll be there on Friday night. I just looked at the time. I think we'll be on, I can't remember if he said 8 o'clock. I could have swore it was 8 o'clock, but yeah, in any event, we'll be there Friday evening. Where's Debbie, Spurs?
I think she's having connection problems. I think there's two arguments. I think there's a confusion with the ball earthers. Being around the ball earthers, I'm understanding what they want and what's happening. And it seems that they forget that we are debunking the globe. We are denying the globe. We are refuting the globe. And so therefore they seem to think, okay, so where's the model? Where's the flat earth model? So there's two arguments. There's an academic argument with those who want numbers, calculations of how the flat earth model works. And then there's the argument of proving that we do not live on a spinning ball. I think that's very important that we stress that, because when we watch Jeranism with Aaron Ra, if the debate or the argument was strictly, here's Debbie, yeah. If the argument or the debate was strictly about the globe.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, Debbie.
Hey,
Glad
Debbie.
you could make it.
And hey, Nummy as well.
Hello, thanks for having me.
Yes,
You haven't tried joining this chat before, have you?
she has. Yeah.
It's just that you have
Yeah,
an active soccer
briefly.
account that goes around playing, like, as you join, it's playing music or playing something in the background. I just wondered, might that have actually been you?
Did I place? I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's probably a sock. It's okay.
Oh, it's definitely a sock. Somebody's basically recorded you, Debbie, on Discord talking about how the stars don't prove something, and they've just recorded it so that as they join, that's playing, and it sounds like you.
Okay, so like I say, with the Jeranism and the Aaron Ra debate, if that discussion was strictly about the ball, obviously Aaron would have lost, and he would have stopped asking Jeranism for a model. I think that seems to be the ploy. It's to ask them for a model, ask them for the numbers, and we've never claimed that we have a flat Earth model.
It turns out those Spurs that they don't have one either.
Well, that's the thing, you see, this is the point. If flat earthers, when they go into debates, they discuss, the shape of the earth, which will in turn prove that you're not on a ball. So then they have to ask the question, where do we live? And then they can start to figure these things out.
So what can we do for you then, Debbie?
Well, no, she was discussing with Tim. What did you make of Tim's video yesterday, Debbie? Did you watch it?
I think she stepped away, maybe.
Yeah, she must have stepped away.
Connection. So have you noticed that this is where the problem is, why they say we're not listening, we're not paying attention, is because they want a flat Earth model.
Really?
Yeah, that's.
But how can they demand a flat Earth model from us when we've got like no time, money, effort put into it? Well, effort, but no time or money. But they don't even have one themselves. That seems a little bit unrealistic on my part. Would you not agree?
Well, they say they have a model.
Yeah, they don't know. They have the rumpus that says they had a model. Sorry, they have the rumpus that admitted that they didn't have a model. And they have, who was the other person? I believe, on the top of my head, I believe it was either Philip or Jeremy. I can't remember which one it was. But they basically told that we didn't have a model. You had to put pieces of the jigsaw together to get the model. So they don't have a model.
Yeah, they just have more pieces of the jigsaw puzzle in place. And so then they claim that that's some kind of victory.
Yeah, but they say things like the model works. It works.
Only some parts of it work, not all of it.
No, but when they say it works, what do they mean?
The parts they want you to look at work.
What they mean is that they're claiming that it's logically consistent with itself in all aspects. But in fact, that's not true. That's what they mean when they say it works. Right? That it has a logical consistency, so that no two things in it contradict each other. Because for the model to truly work, it can't have any contradictions.
Okay, so just briefly explain why you say it doesn't work.
Because they always point your eyes in a particular direction and then the part that works. But if you look at the lunar eclipse and watch what's supposed to happen and compare it to what actually happens, that does not work. They claim it does work, but it doesn't. So if anybody wants to see a problem with the orbital mechanics and the three-body problem, look into the lunar eclipse. You'll see that it's not consistent.
Or things like the lack of Coriolis effect and the fact that there's no plausible explanation for how the atmosphere could be rotating with the Earth. Those are other ways that their model doesn't work.
Is PMARS permitted?
Permitted?
To join? He wants to join.
I believe Nathan's view is that it's free to join for anybody.
Yeah, check your Skype, P.
Even PMARS.
Debbie, is your mic working?
Yeah, I just cut it off because I was outside.
Okay, so You were talking about, you saw Tim's video yesterday, right?
Yeah, I find it very suspicious.
Well,
I remember.
well, that's ball Earth proof.
See,
Maybe. That's ball Earth
yeah,
proof.
well, that's you're right. I was looking for the ball of proof and I didn't see it. I don't know what he was demonstrating. He was just actually proving the flat Earth that you could actually see that mountain from top to bottom.
Well, I don't think you get it. You probably just don't understand it, right?
No, I don't know where he was going with it. Well, I guess he was saying, why can we see the whole mountain, right?
I don't even know what he was saying. He just kind of declared victory and then presented this absolutely breathtakingly excellent flat Earth demonstration.
Well, I just find it odd there was no birds or anything, and he said there was no birds don't fly out there. When I went to another video, there was birds all over the place.
Oh, so you think it could be a fake video?
Possibly.
I think that if he was going to do something fake, he would have made it look more globy, though. Like Soundly
right. Did. Yeah, I agree.
You think Soundly's video is fake?
I think yeah. Riley and I discussed this last summer, but not going to get into that now because it's just too much detail. But yeah.
No, you think it's fake?
I think there's aspects of it that are fraudulent, yes. I think that video that shows the super exaggerated curvature is not reproducible in a natural setting.
Yeah, and you can tell Soundly's images are real because they look so fake.
Yeah. Exactly. It would not. If I went out there, it would not match reality.
No.
To show curvature on ground level, that was somewhat exaggerated. I mean, absolutely not.
Well, it's just insanely exaggerated. Like, even if the Earth was curved, it would be like, I don't know, a tiny fraction of the curvature that he shows in that video. But I'm just saying, like, you're not going to reproduce that kind of photography in reality, right? Like he's like the only person in the world who's ever managed to.
Well, I congratulated him. I said, "Well,
yeah."
I said, well done, Soundly. You're the first person after years of asking where is the curvature. You found curvature. It's astonishing.
I said a similar thing to Rumpus. Sorry, Numi. I was just going to say, I said a similar thing to Rumpus. So I asked him for his scientific proof of Earth curvature, and the first thing out of his mouth was Soundly.
Right.
Yeah, he doesn't see that in the Soundly evidence that there is clearly an optical atmospheric effect. The obstruction is clearly optical. It's not geometric, but they want to believe it, so they'll accept it. But they'll refuse to accept that the evidence shows, black and white, that what he's looking at is optical. And Phuket Word showed that it was optical with a brilliant comparison video with a flat road. And they don't accept that that's comparable for some reason. You guess for why, I don't know, but they don't accept it. But it is clearly, demonstrably, and evidently optical. But they want to believe it, so it's true. It's called acceptance by consensus.
Yeah. Well, we found the telltale signs of fraud all over that stuff. I mean, it's very difficult to prove it definitively, I suppose. I mean, it just comes down to somebody's a judgment call of discernment by the individual, but there was a lot of fishy stuff going on for sure.
Absolutely. I have like some of the historical images of that, like that bridge from different elevations, different angles, and there's like just no curve.
Yeah.
The water doesn't curve.
Yeah, there's no curve.
He demonstrated like curvilinear perspective as the bridge was like going like at an angle. So it'll appear that it's like going, reaching to the horizon, going over water on a curve.
Yeah.
Too much. Well, with regards to the convention, I know this is a bit of a sidestep, but whilst there's enough people in watching at the moment, I want the ballers, to be aware that the Rumpus is under a challenge, because the evidence goes public at the convention on the Friday night, but on Nathan's show on Saturday, I want the Rumpus to be aware that he's expected to be online and on the show, ready to debunk this, because he's been given enough facts to be able to work on it. And it's been requested of Rumpus to tell me what would the conditions would be necessary to recreate the facts that he's been told. So let Rumpus know that he needs to be free on the Saturday. And I think what I might actually do is not even release it on the Saturday unless he's actually there, because I want to hear what Rumpus says about the narrow window of observational requirements necessary on his predictive capabilities model to tell us how we can see what we can see. He knows the facts. He doesn't know what time of day the image was taken. He doesn't know what the conditions were. But if his model has predictive capabilities, he will be able to tell us pretty accurately what the weather conditions must have been in order to get the observation. So for those of you that have not seen or not heard, Rumpus needs to be online on Saturday on Nathan's show for the great reveal, and then he can come armed with his evidence to show what the weather conditions must have been in order to get that. If he's not there, we might leave it till Sunday. He needs to be there because he's the one that thinks that it's totally explainable and I must have made a mistake because I've been 100% wrong or 100% of my time. And I'm challenging him with his predictive capabilities of his model to come and present the proofs necessary or the explanation necessary to match the evidence.
This is going to be revealed exclusively on the Friday, which is the 27th, this coming Friday, at Jury's Inn, Broad Street, Birmingham, at about 8 o'clock. So get a ticket. You can get day tickets, day passes. That's available on the website, which is www.flatearthconvention.co.uk. Sorry, flatearthconventionuk.co.uk. And yeah, pick up a ticket if you've not got one already.
Are you still there?
Yeah.
Just Nathan got off pretty quick, and I thought he was mid-conversation and got booted.
No. Plug in the Flat Earth Convention.
Yep, we'll be there, and I can't wait, because I can't wait for... Basically, we were challenged, and the challenge was accepted and reproduced, and I can't wait for you guys to see it if you go to the convention. It is glorious, and there's going to need an awful lot of magic maths to explain it. So... If you haven't been to the convention or you're thinking of going, make sure you do go, especially on the Friday night, just to see it, because you'll see it before the Rumpus does. And anybody that sees it before the Rumpus gets the advantage.
Stuff.
So Debbie, I've not seen you before. I've heard your name, but I've not seen you around very much. Are you quite new to the?
Kind of new to like the debating scene, yeah. I've been mostly on Google Plus.
How long have you been on the Hangout side of it?
Not very long, maybe 3 months. I came on from JD's channel.
Right.
He invited me to his panel. So it was just like a bunch of globies there, and I was lured there, and they told me it was about biology, so I'll join. And so basically it was just an attack. It was an ambush. And so now everybody's like using my name and put it onto their, title their videos in my name. And then for these viewers and more subscribers.
So
they're exploiting me. Yeah, they're kind of exploiting me. Yeah, I've been kind of quiet. I wasn't on the live stream, I've just been on Google Plus and been into a few communities. 5 communities. I've seen all your videos, so you're doing great work. I commend you on doing these debunk videos.
You've been keeping up to date with the flat Earth debate?
Not all of them, but just a few here and there.
Yeah, it's a pretty good show.
Yeah, there's a lot of good debates out there.
You want to tell about those calls you've been making?
The calls, yeah. No, I've just been calling a few places. One being the American Express commercial. They say the world is not flat. So I called over there to find out why they were using the flat Earth concept for the commercial. So they wouldn't let me get a hold of anybody in the marketing department. So I just spoke to the representative, and I just went in through a few aspects of flat Earth. And she was kind. She listened, and she wouldn't comment at all on how she viewed the world, how she perceived it, and what she was taught. So I was like,
That's interesting.
I made a few calls to NASA over there at NOAA and NASA, and I spoke to a few engineers, but I didn't get to record those calls. I'm going to make some more calls though.
Make sure you record all stuff like that you do. It's very interesting and valuable stuff to share.
Yeah, I just got to, yeah, I've been working on the Audacity app, so I kind of get familiar with it.
Yeah. I love stuff like that, like like Robert Bassano.
Oh, yeah, I love him. He's great.
Well, all his calls and stuff like that. I think that's such a great approach to making content on this topic.
He exposed Sophia, didn't he? Hubble.
He exposed what?
Sophia as Hubble.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That was brilliant.
Yeah, he definitely checked his facts and was basically saying it wouldn't fit in the cargo hold. So, and that was like one of the, should have made the world's record, I guess. That thing was launched in 1990.
Yeah.
Well, he called up posing as a physics student, and I'm sure he was, or not posing, but as a physics student. And he was asking this NASA guy about the physics of the orbit of the Hubble telescope, and kind of going, well, from what I've worked out, it should have crashed and burned. It should be long in the ground. And he's going through this with the NASA guy, and obviously he's taking him through the maths, and the NASA guy sort of shaking his head on the phone and going, right, well, that's very interesting. Doesn't have a clue that it's being recorded.
He figured out the telemetry data, and he said from the atmospheric drag, it would actually put it line of sight of the ISS, like 10 miles.
Yeah, apparently John told me that he actually was a physics student at the time. That he wasn't just posing.
No, I'm sure he was.
Yeah, I heard he was supposed to be like, I think he graduated from MIT, and he's working on, he's like into like the artificial intelligence. I think he was trying to design some type of lens to launch up there to capture something that maybe the other lenses don't capture.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, and I tried to look at his credentials, and Mr. Bassano was saying that somebody stole his credentials. So I couldn't find any like a bio on him, but I don't know. He's supposed to be attending, I think, Maryland University.
Yeah, I don't know the details, but I was talking to John about this yesterday after the show, because he did some calls and did some work with Robert Bassano apparently.
Oh, you're talking about John? Okay, I stole some of his notes about the scientific method fine tuning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's done some great work on the scientific method and.
Mm-hmm.
Just going to add at this point that for the last couple of nights I've been on a call with Nummy and John and a few other people, and the debate continues within the flat Earth camp, because I'm not going to make it sound like we're the blind leading the blind, but ultimately we all accept that there's a lot more things we don't know now, and that means that there's cause for debate amongst the internal ranks, if you want to call them then, in flat Earth. So it's fascinating. I've been glued to the conversation, saying very little, while Nummy and John are arguing the toss about this and that. It's absolutely brilliant. It's a shame it doesn't get broadcast. It really is.
Yeah, I like debating John.
Do you remember Mr. Bassano covered the SMAP satellite where it's just stopped?
It rings a bell.
It was a weather satellite. It just they launched it, and the mission control did not say anything about. They said that they locked it in telemetry, lock position in orbit, but the thing stopped. So when I spoke to NASA, he told me centrifugal force stopped that satellite.
That's
right.
bizarre.
How would it do that?
I don't know, because the satellite should have just disappeared. As if it's free falling, it should have just disappeared as they pushed it off. So you need, for that thing to just stop, you would need another motion to stop it, correct? But the thing just stopped. I mean, the whole thing was fakey.
Was it like a
You can tell it's all fakey.
satellite kind of thing? Is that what they call it?
Yeah, it was when I looked. Yeah, I think it was. I can't remember how high it was, but when I looked at the diagram, it did have some type of jet propulsion on it or something on there too. maybe slow it down. I don't know, but well, that's what the NASA engineer told me.
Interesting. Yeah, please do record
Yeah.
that. Like that's really valuable to document conversations with those people if you're having them, because
Yeah.
then they don't have the opportunity to put it through their media editing department and all of that and fine tune it to make sure that it's consistent with their overall narrative that they're presenting. You catch them on a few things.
Yeah, I have to get right. I just have to get my questions together, and because it's very difficult to talk to anybody over there.
Yeah.
They'll say they're not there, or
Yeah.
they're out to lunch. There's absolutely nobody I can speak to. So I just go in there and I say, my kid's doing a science project, and just want to make sure his presentation is legit. So when I get some more questions together, I'm gonna go. I'll ask.
Yeah, they're definitely out to lunch.
I asked them because you know how the Globies say there's real images of satellites, and fathers were saying no, they're not real. So I had to call over there, and he told me, he said that they don't have any pictures of satellites. That only NSA would have them, which is weird. But anyways, that just confirms that they don't have those are CGIs, or they're just like fake imagery.
Yeah, it's all fake imagery. I mean, it's plain to see that it's fake imagery if you look at it.
You can tell it's real because it looks so fake.
Yeah.
Never best. That's the best sentence in Flat Earth, that. So I believe that you were on with Refuting at some point. How long ago was that?
I don't know when that's exactly the date of that live stream. He came on the panel, JD's panel. It was just a bunch of people on there. He just got up there, was trying to teach me about convergence lines and the vanishing point. And right off the fly, I don't even like the dude.
Was it your first ever hangout?
I just want. It would be the second one.
Who was your first?
The first one, on JD's channel. That would be the second one, because the first one, they were discussing dinosaurs, and I think we went into it about vaccines. They're just screaming at each other. They're telling me that I'm crazy, that because I'm against the vaccines, the ones that are unnecessary. I mean, and the ingredients that they put in there, and some of these ingredients they're not even allowed to list. So I'm just totally against the vaccines. They're doing too many.
Hey, Alan.
On one visit.
Hey.
How you doing?
Not too bad yourselves?
How was your hot pot?
Oh, it was quite nice. I had some Henderson's relish.
With a bit of globy sauce?
No globy.
Oh.
Had ice cream for afters though, Tony.
I was having a discussion with the Rumpus after yesterday's hangout. It was all done by text rather than speech, but I was trying to get the point across to him that if Alan B's got 2 ice creams, I can't physically take 4 ice creams off him and leave him with -2 ice creams. And his answer was, you can mathematically. And I was like, yeah, that's the point. That is the point. Just because it can be done with mathematics doesn't mean it can be done real world.
You couldn't do it in the real world anyway, Anthony. I'll give you a rather big bunch of 9s.
You'd rather give me a what?
I'd give you a bunch of 9s.
Oh, a bunch of 9s? You mean a smack in the face? Well,
yes.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, it's that distinction between mathematically possible but not realistic, not actually capable of doing it real world. It's that distinction that I think Rumpus genuinely struggles with.
Yeah. So, looking at Debbie's picture, is she an actor?
Why would you
question the actor?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if that's a trap.
Oh, a honey trap.
Yep.
What difference does it make, Alan?
Yes, I think it's fake.
Fake?
I think John's.
You'd say so.
I think John's a fake as well. He even shows you the script.
Well,
there's citations. It's not a script.
It's a script.
Yeah, it's a citation. It's a book of proofs, right?
He's an actor.
All the world's a stage.
So if you look at Debbie's picture and think actor, what do you look at?
I look at Debbie's picture and think trap for all you lonely boys.
Well, what do you look at?
A trap.
What do you look at and think with Nummy's picture?
I think he needs help.
Yeah. It's a horrible picture. I wish he'd change it.
Are you going to help me, Alan?
Pardon?
About my picture, Alan. What does my picture tell you about me? Does it say actor?
What picture?
My avatar.
Who's playing with things in the background? Yeah. So go on then. What about Nathan's picture of the sunset?
No, not the sunset. My avatar. I can't see it at the moment.
Oh, the one where you're on the set.
Yeah, the one where I'm in a TV studio.
Yeah, the whole world's a stage.
You just wanted to be a presenter there.
I trained as an actor. That was going to be my point.
That sun reflection, to my understanding, can only happen on a flat Earth.
Correct. If there was a bulge between you and the sun, that part of the water wouldn't get any light whatsoever because it would be behind the sun. Sorry, it wouldn't get any light, not water. Same problem for Tim's footage. If there was a bulge between you and the thing that you were looking at, the mountains in the background, it would be reflecting something other than, well, the mountains.
Yeah, I find his shadows were a little off. I asked him where the sun was positioned. It's like, what does that matter? Well, I'm trying to break down his footage and look at everything, find, like anomalies. And there was like a shadow from the tripod, but then it didn't match up where the mountains were. The whole thing looks strange. I think like he just raised the thing up very slow and then just kind of zoomed in slightly.
My feeling is that the footage is genuine, but that it supports a flat Earth more than a globe Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, it's genuine footage from Tim. It's just he's used a fisheye lens or at least a wide-angle lens, but either way, it misrepresents the way it actually looks. And it makes it look like you've got curvature on the x-axis. So what it does on the y-axis, God only knows. But it's probably because he used a cheap GoPro of some kind or a cheap drone, some of the better drones. Oh, by the way, I was looking at the one particular channel. I don't want to name him, but he's got some, what's it called? Drone footage over Pontchartrain, looking at the bridge, and he zooms up and down, and he makes it look, well, basically look at the video footage. It would be rather appropriate to describe it as, you can tell it's so real because it looks so fake. Because I looked at it and I was like, what? That's meant to be real footage. Didn't look real to me.
Just like Debbie's picture.
Yeah, I reckon that might have been taken 10 years ago, judging by the voice.
But you're an actor too, aren't you, Alan? I mean, is that your real voice?
Is that your real voice?
I think so.
That's my real voice. Yep.
Yeah. But is it
My real
Alan's voice? He didn't answer the question then. Did you notice he swerved it?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
I was just saying Alan didn't answer the question.
Learning off you, Tony. Learning off you.
Oh.
That was another swerve, by the way. Another
real
swerve.
voice, Alan, or is it a...
Yeah.
Of course it is.
I believe you.
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
Why do you believe Debbie then?
Oh, I've got no reason not to. Go on, say it. I've got no reason not to for you as well, right?
It's up to you. I don't care what you believe.
We don't mind if you're an actor, Alan. It's okay.
You're free to believe what you want.
Toast to the fire.
That sounded Irish.
Did you
What a
watch
great
the
show, eh?
And my picture was taken in 2015, so I don't know why you have a problem with my picture.
We don't all have a problem.
People hide behind cartoon pictures and whatnot, and I don't poke at them at their pictures.
Your
Turn the
picture is
camera on,
lovely, Debbie. Nobody has a problem with it except Alan.
I was going to say, let's not use the word all.
I don't think he's got a problem. I'd take that as a backhanded compliment, him saying you're an actor. Like saying you've got a face for TV, which is a compliment, right?
Alan's got a face for TV. Oh no, Face Radio. And Jason McCormick says, Debbie, send me pics. Go on, Jason, say ASL to her. Go on.
You seem to know all the
I haven't
lingo,
heard that
Tony.
since the 90s.
I was just thinking back to when I was a kid, yeah. ASL, age, sex, location.
That's it.
No, Debbie's had a proposal. Jason McCormick says, Debbie, marry me. So, Nummy, whereabouts in the States are you?
That actually has happened. Somebody in the chat, Jason McCormack, Debbie, marry me. You actually got a proposal. Unreal.
No, thank you. Not looking for a man right now.
Anthony, I've told you like at least 20 times that I live in Canada, I think.
I just always assume that you're an American for some reason.
I'm in Virginia.
I keep telling you that over and over, and it just never sinks in. It's interesting.
I know, but you do sound like an American.
Well, we have the same, very similar accent to the American.
See, I'd take that as a backhanded insult.
Yes, nothing sinks in, does it, Nummy?
So where's Debbie? What state is Debbie in?
Virginia, she said.
Virginia.
I'm in Virginia.
Yeah, because it sounded a little bit like Clarice from Silence of the Lambs.
Anybody told you how smooth you are, Anthony?
Huh?
Anybody ever told you how smooth you are?
Well, that's what in my head. I had Clarice in my head, and I was thinking, that's what she sounds like.
Where are you from, Alan?
What's that?
Where are you from?
I'm from beautiful Leeds.
Oh, okay.
Are you? Do you actually follow football, Alan?
Sometimes.
Did you watch the Liverpool match against Roma?
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
Very good game.
Was for you. I was thinking of you having the third goal.
The last 10 minutes, Liverpool substituted Mohamed Salah, and then totally forgot to play football for the rest of the match. It was bad.
Yes, but good win. Good win.
We don't care about soccer in North America.
Girls came over there.
We also call it soccer. We don't call it football.
The girls play it.
Yeah. I don't care about any sports, to be honest with you, but
Either. Couldn't care less.
Is that because you never got picked?
Pimped?
no, I was actually quite athletic in my school days, but I just find the whole thing to be quite monotonous and repetitive and rather pointless.
A bit like FE then.
No, not at all. Not at all
at
like
all.
FE. FE excites me.
Where's Arwin anyway?
That's a good
Sleeping,
question.
probably. Or maybe he's mad. I don't know.
So do
Yeah,
you
I
see
did a
FE as
hangout
repetitive
yesterday,
and
it was
boring
rather
then, Alan?
interesting.
You don't see it as exciting?
See what is exciting?
Said FE is a bit like sport. Well, I would call sport repetitive.
Well, you guys just like arguing, I think. I don't think you and Tony believe it.
So what brings you here then, Alan? If we're so boring and
Shits
repetitive.
and giggles.
Okay, so this is like sport for you.
No, I'm just bored. I live alone. Pensioner. Nothing to do.
Sure.
It's raining. Can't go bowling.
So this is like charity work.
I'm reaching out to the community. Care in the community, if you will.
A little bit of projection going on there.
Yeah. How did you, Alan? How did you end up participating in the flat Earth community? What's the narrative of how were you drawn into this strange little world?
I saw a video by the Gem Panda.
Oh, okay.
And
how did you? Why were you watching Gem Panda in the first place?
It just came up on the recommended.
Oh, so what were you watching that would cause that to come
I
up?
want
in your
some evidence of this. There's no way Gem Panda came up on a recommended.
No,
Yeah.
Let's see some evidence.
That myself. He only has the one video.
one video.
Are you lying, Alan? Are you
Are you
lying?
lying
It was the
already?
one with it was the one where he's talking to the guy that talks like Chris Eubank, Spurs Machismo.
Why would that come up in your suggestions?
I don't know. Loads of weird stuff comes up in there.
Are you watching
It means
conspiracy
that you're
stuff?
watching loads of weird stuff to begin with. Because you have to search for some weird stuff to have the weird stuff come up. That's been my
Well, I kind of start off watching Kylie Minogue and end up watching something on baking French bread. That's how my day goes.
The rabbit hole of YouTube.
Indeed.
Okay,
So-
so
You've fallen in love with the flat Earth movement, though, haven't you?
No, I just think you're interesting.
Are you still a glober, or are you?
Does it matter?
Well, it doesn't really matter. I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
it improves your chances of not being kicked if you're on our side.
Join us, Alan.
I'm not
on our
delusional.
crusade to promote the flat Earth understanding and awareness.
can I turn that question back on you, Nami? Do you care?
Yeah, I
if
think
he's-
it's
if
important
he's
to
a-
know where we live at.
Yeah.
Since the our governments and these space agencies like to lie, about where we live, I think it's important to know and what side you stand on. And then think
I
about your
100%
children that are
I
learning some
100%
of these
agree with you, Debbie.
retarded pseudoscience kind of
I
garb.
think for me that's 100% true. But what I'm kind of asking Numi is Alan's position important to you?
Not really, to be honest. But I'm just making conversation since we're not debating, right?
Sure. I just find it interesting because I honestly couldn't care less what anyone else thinks, as selfish as that sounds. I find it fascinating, but if somebody disagrees, I'm not that interested in converting them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I agree. I feel the same way. I'm just more curious about how somebody like Alan has come to be involved with something like this. Like, I just find that to be a curious kind of
Guess I'm just a misfit like you guys.
Yeah. And I'm also interested in listening to, participating in this many hours of these conversations and debates, if it's at all had any effect on his thinking in terms of the subject matter.
None at all.
Did your alarm not go off, Arwin?
Sorry?
Did your alarm not go off? You're late.
No. Yeah. No, my alarm did go off, but my dad called me very early, and we had an incredibly interesting conversation. And then I thought, I'm just gonna sleep a little bit more, like an hour, and that hour became 4 hours. So,
I'd like to know how Arwin ended up on Flat Earth. What's your background story?
well, I was born.
Do you want to be a bit more specific?
We need to go a
Good
bit
old
further
Alan.
forward than that.
Well, that's how I ended up on Flat Earth.
Not how you came down the birth canal onto Flat Earth. How you ended up in the subject matter
not
in your
straight.
adult life.
Not straight. You didn't drop me.
Hey, Level, how you doing? Level Lee, good to have you.
Hello.
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 About though.
How I ended learning about Flat Earth? Well, as I've been telling, like Patricia interviewed me that first time. I've been confronted with Flat Earth my entire life, sporadically, just moments where I entertained the thought, like fantasy or science fiction, or like I would consider anything that seems interesting, but I never really made up my mind about, oh yeah, it has to be flat, because I was in love with space all of my life, like really, really, really in love with it. And I later on in my life even got more seriously confronted with elements of Flat Earth on several occasions, and I entertained it for a moment and then just rejected it, still said like, yeah, but you know what? I'm not too sure. I think the globe and outer space can still be a possibility. I'm going to stick with that. And yeah,
Cool.
it's only later when, how do you say, it's like when you get confronted at first with just the concept of flat Earth and you don't really get to hear anything about it, you don't get to hear the actual arguments, then you're like, oh yeah, okay, it's interesting. But I guess for me, it only really just sank in when I realized that NASA were all
Hey,
liars,
Arif,
and
is
when
that
I
really
really
you?
saw how
Hello,
they
Arif?
were lying. And that's when it really just sank in. Like, okay, it can be a possibility. Because if it was really a possibility, then there would be such elaborate proof of it that would not have mistakes in it, would not have inconsistencies in it, would be very obvious. And it doesn't seem to be.
Cool. Hopefully we'll hear from Lee in just a few moments, but I'll do a quick link. So we've got about an hour left on this live stream. I hope you're enjoying the debate thus far. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside the show while it's live and a link in the info box below the video once it's rendered. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the discussion and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show. Massive thanks to those who've done so already. Sharing the show increases the live audience, of course, and this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. There is, as I say, about 1 hour left on this live stream. What's your story? Is it level, Lee?
It's level, Lee. It is, yeah. Well, I've listened pretty much to every show, and I thought I'd join in today because I broke my ankle at the weekend, so I'm laid up at home.
Broken
Nothing
ankle?
to do. Try and get on for once. My first ever time coming onto a hangout, so.
Really?
Me.
Good to have you, man.
Well, that's really great because that's the main reason why Nathan has the open link so that people like you join just by clicking a link.
Well, I ain't gonna lie, it wasn't quite as easy as that. I'm not that tech savvy, but I did press the button a few times and eventually got on. Here we go.
Nice.
So
Thank
did you
for
get
joining
kicked
us.
a couple of times?
I don't know. I don't know what was going on. But
No,
you
I
know,
don't think
here
so. I
I
think he's just joined successfully by the looks.
got on there. Yeah, I got into Flat Earth about just over a year ago. Standard stuff, speaking in the pub. Told them that they were insane. Went home, looked about. Yeah, here I am now. A year in. And I'd say I'm definitely flat.
So some blokes at the pub were telling you that the Earth was flat? That's interesting.
Yeah. I've been into conspiracy.
That's great.
Oh, 9/11 thing, which
All right, so you already had the bottom, basically.
kind of there. A little bit dubious about the moon landings, but when they come up with that, I've kind of then gone into everything and looked into everything on the basic level. Yeah, Flat Earth really caught my interest. And, well, I think one thing is it's always resonant. I've always asked the question, why can't you see a curve? How come you can see so far? Blah, blah, blah. And then, yeah, here I am. But I'll let you lot carry on. I'll just sit and listen.
That's great that you're open-minded and willing to look into it, where some people are just not open-minded about it. They just shut it off and think it's stupid.
Yeah, my wife's.
Yeah, I'm just saying that's great that you're open-minded. Yeah.
Yeah.
Your wife's very against it?
Yeah, my wife hates the idea of it. Yeah. It's all games. But I've got 5 kids. So
5 kids?
Holy
You need a
4,
PlayStation.
I made 4. I made 4. The other one's the stepson, so I can't take full gratitude for him. But got 5 in all.
You need you should have got that PlayStation when you were younger.
Should have got some rubbers while you were down the pub.
Well, there's nothing to do in the small village where I'm from, so you got to keep breeding, ain't you?
So let's all guess where he's from. I think Alan and Nathan and myself can guess roughly where he's from, but do the other people on the panel guess where he's from?
No idea.
Me?
No.
Not too sure.
Alan, do you know where he's from?
I think so.
Nathan?
I think I've got a pretty good idea. Where do you think he's from?
Somewhere South London, mate.
Right.
I'm not quite a bit further south. I'm Brighton myself.
Brighton,
yeah,
Brighton's
south enough.
Brighton, Eastbourne, that way.
Brighton's on the south coast of England, below London, so I wasn't far off.
Yeah.
On the good sea, France.
You sound like the main character from On the Buses.
So you're a southerner.
Southerner, born and bred.
Savner, mate. Yeah, he's a Savner. Up the apples and pears.
Hello. Hello.
I'm struggling with the old apple and pears at the minute, with the old ankle.
Cockney rhyming slang, you gotta love it. Everyone uses it.
Everyone uses it.
Yeah, yeah. The tip of the cap in it. It used to be used as like an insult, but now it's definitely a tip of the cap.
Tip of the cap. How do I take my camera off?
Just press the button at the top. If you hover over the top of the window, you'll see 5 buttons. One of them is end call. One of them is the microphone. The other one's the video camera.
Oh, right.
It's actually 6 buttons. But...
I'm on my mobile phone.
Oh, just tap the screen and the buttons will appear.
Yeah, cool. All right. I'll leave you be. You carry on chatting and then I'll jump in maybe. I don't know.
That's cool.
Before the end of the show, something that offends
kids.
you will prop up.
Started early?
Yeah, I was 19 when I had my first.
Wow.
A nice surprise, I like to call it. A nice surprise.
Oh.
And then, yeah, he's now asking a lot of questions, which is good. My stepson...
He's now just passed his driving test, right?
Hey?
He's now just passed his driving test.
No, not quite. He's only... Oh, my God, he's 13.
Yeah, he's getting there, and he's getting there.
Yeah, it won't be long before I'm a granddad, I expect, if he goes the same way as me. Hopefully he doesn't, but you never know.
Well, you live in a small village. There's not much to do, right?
No, just pub. Good old English pub.
Yeah. The British way.
The British way. Yeah, but I've mentioned it in the pub. I think when I first got into it, a couple of weeks in, overexcited, mentioned it in the pub. So now I'm known quite locally as the local...
Kook,
yeah. I should have kept my mouth shut for a little bit. But now I quite happily sit and have a little bit of a debate. I wouldn't be able to hold any of my own against Osman or the Rumpus. I'm nothing like that kind of caliber.
You're just asking for a proof, and they go, what do you mean, proof?
Well, that's one thing
just starts falling apart.
That's one thing I've definitely learnt from you on this show. So,
yeah.
Well, if you tell that to Rumpus, he's actually just going to ramble on forever.
Rumpus has been asked for 100 times. Has he got any scientific proof of Earth curve? And he hasn't got any.
Oh, no, it's crazy, isn't it? Really.
100.
Nathan keeps saying over 2,000 years, and there is nothing really to come back to.
Especially, I'm more inclined to say 500 years.
Hello. You're right.
Hey, Renty.
Everything all right today?
Yeah, it's all very calm.
Oh, we got a nice blue sky here. No chemtrails.
Yeah, we're just having a powwow today, passing the peace pipe.
Yeah, well, Tim kind of put an argument to an end yesterday, so we can relax.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. How did that end? I left last half hour.
Not with a bang, but a whimper from Tim.
Did he have to concede that the reflections were indeed basically a great flat Earth proof? Or
well, he said in jest. I was like, well, what's with the reflection? He said, well, okay, because the Earth's flat. Okay, let's move on to the bit I want to point out on the horizon. You're like, okay.
Yeah, he did kind of say that, didn't he?
He did admit that he couldn't explain it. Yeah. But it was, I think he kind of felt the effect of his attempt at his using that as low proof. Who's this?
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
Hello.
Yeah, we can hear you. Good to have you.
Thank you.
What's your deal, Brian? What can we do you for?
Well, just dropping, but I seem to be having trouble with my mic. Bear error.
So what about some
One moment, please.
Okay.
That's the voice of a phone jacker, isn't it?
Somebody's ripping off Phone Jacker. Pale imitation.
Yeah, one moment, please. And we know who that is, and we know what's likely to happen if we give him that moment.
Who is it?
It's a judgment call, Nath.
I am booting him.
But who was it?
It was one particular person with a strong Scottish accent that thinks he can
Oh
hide.
God, Chris again.
Chris, yeah.
Can I share my screen briefly, Nath?
Ben.
I just want to remind people what it is that we are told that we live on, because it just needs laughing at. It's just ridiculous. So if I can just...
Is this going to be a picture of a graph by any chance?
No, it's not a graph. It's far more scientific than a graph.
No, I asked for a model of Earth and got a graph yesterday.
Yeah. This is application window. Come on. Share. All right. Am I up?
Oh, it's a truffle.
No, it's a testicle. This is what we're supposed to live on, boys and girls. We are supposed. This is the Earth without the water on it, according to their model. Which, I mean, if you want to accept that this is the Earth with no water on it, be my guest. But it makes it look ludicrously ridiculous. Now, I can imagine it being somewhat similar to that, but it just looks like a testicle. And this is what Sly Sparkane gave to me, and he tried to argue that this is what the geoid actually is. It's just
keep in mind that it says that the heights are 1,000 times exaggerated, right? Like that's an image that exaggerates the gravimetrics.
Right. So, but what they're saying is it's not as testicle shaped as what it looks.
Yeah. Look, read the fine print below.
The image above is that the image above is actually shows. See, it doesn't even make sense. The image above, this is what it actually says, right? I'm going to read this verbatim, right? I'm not going to make a mistake. It actually says, the image above is actually shows the Earth's gravitational field, and the variations in this geoid height are thousands of times exaggerated. Look at the first couple of words here. The image above is actually shows.
Yeah.
It makes
a lot of trouble
no
with
dramatic sense whatsoever. And this is what they claim is the proof of the shape of the Earth that we live on.
And how does it show the gravitational field?
I have no idea. It's to
Well,
do
what this is
like
supposed to be
invisible rays. Ooh.
No, what they're claiming to be showing here is the gravimetric anomalies. Here, go back to it for a second. So it's like, you know, when they were talking about how things weigh differently at different latitudes.
Yeah.
This is supposed to be showing the anomalies, that the deviations away from their predictions of how things should weigh at latitudes, at different varying latitudes. That's how you can measure the gravitational acceleration at a given spot, right? And this is what I was trying to argue the other day with, I can't remember who it was now, but that basically this gravimetric map that's supposed to follow latitudes is just made of anomalies, right? That they explain away with other theoretical, unproven explanations, like you know, they'll claim that the density of the rocks 50 miles underneath the ground is what's causing these anomalies. But if you were to just consider it purely based on this gravimetric data, then this idea of that, then their model of how things should weigh at latitudes actually doesn't work. You have to insert all these other hypothetical, theoretical variables in order to actually iron it out, right?
Well, the only way, in my honest opinion, to truly measure the gravity or the downward force in a reliable way would be in a very stable pressurized room at a great altitude and at a great depth, like underneath the earth, very deep. But it has to be perfectly pressurized at a perfect pressure setting and then only would you have honestly you could get the same results that would be honestly measured. So the conditions have to be perfectly the same in the surrounding to be able to be certain that there is a difference in gravity.
Yeah, well, I don't even necessarily think that, I mean, you know, for instance, I don't think that they've done this on the Antarctic continent like they claim to, right? And so I think that that this could very well just be fraud, or partially a fraud. You know, maybe it has
a myth,
the partial truth and partial fraud.
It seems.
But I mean, I'm just saying, if we like this, all I'm trying to describe is what this geoid image is actually what they're trying to say that this represents.
Which website was it from?
This one on screen?
Yeah, the one you're presenting, yeah.
Ourplnt.com.
Right. To be fair, I could go and register right now. I could probably go and register our abcd.com right now, right? And I could put any old rubbish up there, right? And have somebody in 6 months' time referencing it and saying, this is proof of this, right? Just, it's not a valid source.
I think that this originally comes from NASA, actually.
Hey, No Globe, how you doing?
But this geoid image is based on NASA data, but they claim to have actually done this. If I don't know, if I'm remembering correctly, and I'm not necessarily 100% certain, but that they actually use, like, apparently gathered this gravimetric data from satellites.
How? It's ridiculous.
Well, from the slight deviations of the orbits, right?
How does that make any sense?
I don't think it makes any sense. I'm just saying what they said. I don't believe any of it.
For me, it just seems ridiculous that supposedly on a very high mountain, there should be less gravity. Like, if I'd go on a very high mountain, then I might get a little lightheaded.
Yeah.
Not light entirely, but lightheaded because the air pressure goes down and everything. But you wouldn't actually be lighter on your feet at all. I don't think anyone has ever experienced a change in how you stand on your feet as you're climbing a very high mountain at all.
I think that they're claiming that the maximum difference that of weight possible is something like only 0.5% or something. So it may not be something that you would feel if it were the case.
Again, all these insignificant amounts.
Yeah, it's all just hidden in the folds, but then you know, it's all just, when it doesn't match, then it's just anomalies, more theoretical nonsense. It's funny because, you know, I think somebody from the Globe Earth side in a few days ago or last week or something kept citing Cody's lab as having provided evidence for this different gravimetrics at different latitudes. But when I actually watched his video, and the result that he predicted based on a change in latitude was actually, what he found was that the weight was actually way off what it was supposed to be. And then he was just claiming that, oh yeah, it's because the density of rocks 100 miles under the earth is such that it creates this anomaly, right? And so yeah, everything's just perfectly normal and good. It's just the rocks 100 miles under the earth that are causing the anomaly.
100 miles, but did they go there?
Don't quote me on 100 miles, but it was some depth under the earth that they've most certainly never been, right? They've never explored. There's no.
But how could they then know what is supposedly there?
Because they did sonar measurements, right? Where they know the entire composition of the core through sounding, right? It's just, this is what I'm saying. It's just like, it's just built up on all these unproven, unfalsifiable conjecture. So when they
didn't echo, but I don't think they can even really get any reliable data about that beyond like 10 miles or something.
Not even. The deepest hole that's ever been dug was not even 10 miles.
No, but that's a physical hole. But if you're going to echo basically the Earth and see the densities, the different types of rock types that are in there, the sediments, all that, then you could probably, like, with a very, very powerful echo scanner, you could probably get no deeper than 10 miles.
I don't think
Or
you
it gets
could,
blurry.
I don't think you'd get anywhere close to 10 miles. I mean, no, they'd have. How
I'm
are
not sure. Don't quote me on it. So.
No. I'm just saying that they may claim to be able. I mean, they claim to be able to echo the entire planet right to the core, right? Like that's how they claim to know the exact size of the core and all the like layers of compositions, all just through this echo.
No, but they don't echo scan it. They test it depending on the earthquakes, like how the waves of the earthquakes are going to redistribute and then be.
Yeah, but it's
sensed.
basically the same kind of thing.
It's very theoretical as to
that's
how
exactly
that's supposed to work.
That's exactly what I'm saying, Arwen. I'm saying that they've got this model of gravimetrics based on altitude, but then every time there's an anomaly, they just explain. Then they defer to this model of the Earth's core that there's no proof of at all, right? So it just shows you how they just build conjecture upon conjecture upon conjecture, and it's all
they do a rumpus basically.
Yeah, it's all untestable, unfalsifiable. None of it's scientific in the least. It's all just.
Let me ask a hypothetical question, right? If you stood on the peak of Mount Everest, according to the gravity at concept, would you be heavier or lighter because of because you're flying away from the mass?
Lighter.
You're supposed to be lighter. Are you sure?
Yes.
That's what their position is?
Yeah.
In theory, does that therefore mean then that the mass of the Mount Everest that you are stood on top of has no effect on the gravitational pull? Because wouldn't you expect your gravity to be stronger because you've got the mass of Mount Everest underneath you?
Well,
no, because it's insignificant.
Slightly. The total mass of Mount Everest would not be enough to compensate for the total mass of the Earth, according to the gravitational pull theory.
Well, it has more to do, and also like the argument that we were having last week or a few days ago or whenever it was, that it's the centrifugal force based on latitude is actually having a stronger effect than something like Mount Everest.
Oh God, not a.
Well, this is what I mean. That's what I'm talking about when I'm referring to the Cody's lab experiment, right? Like the idea of this gravimetrics based on latitude has to do with centrifugal force, but then they also have these other variables like the composition of the rock layers directly underneath where you're standing that give them all, the wiggle room that they can explain any result, basically. So they're just like, yeah, our results are all very sound with our model because every time the results don't match our model, then we can explain it using this these geological conjecture. It's just such bullshit, really. It's unbelievable.
Well, to be honest, if there really was a difference in the gravity strength, the further you go up, then they should test this.
Yeah.
Like really test this, and just I guess building a tower up into the heavens is not really a good option. But I think you could still even test it on a balloon.
Yeah, sure, that's been done
and
before.
Just go up, use a very big balloon, maybe a Zeppelin, have a pressurized chamber with the exact pressure in it, and just measure, okay, what's the gravity right here at this height? What's the gravity right here? And how does it fluctuate, supposedly, as you go higher up? Does it actually? Because you know what? Technically, even if you consider there is no outer space and the Earth is flat, then it might actually still be that the gravity constant does kind of change as you go higher up. Who knows? I don't know this.
Well, Arwen,
they tested about this.
Arwen, they did do this test. That's how they got the geoid model. They did it with their satellites.
Yeah, but come on.
No, I know. I'm just saying. Like, they're already a step ahead of you on this one.
The other thing.
Yeah, but you have to do it with the balloon to get an actual gradual, like a chart, like at every distance, like go a little higher up, go a little higher up.
And you wouldn't, you know what, you actually
make it so you can make a chart of how the fluctuations change gradually.
You can't actually, you wouldn't actually be able to do that within the atmosphere because there's too much air turbulence. Like, it's like, say if you...
No, you could do it.
No,
in a Zeppelin, with a pressurized chamber, then within the chamber, as long as you don't accelerate in any type of distance.
But you can't,
As long as you can keep a stable relative speed, and you can test that with air bubble and everything, then you can still get a stable enough environment to test the gravity.
No, you can't. There's too much, there's tiny little accelerations up and down when you're aloft, right? Like if you're ever on a plane or you do it on a hot air balloon, if you take a digital scale, that's really fine. If you put something on it, if you make sure it's level, and you put something on that scale, it just fluctuates.
Yeah, but you'd have that. The problem with a digital scale in a plane is that the engines of the plane create an electromagnetic field which influences electronic equipment, sensitive electronic equipment. So you'd have to put it inside a Faraday cage, and you'd have to put it inside other shielding to stop the effects of that. Then it would be credible, and that's the reason why the Xbox effect, a video by Wolfie, is not a credible video for that exact reason.
It still wouldn't be credible because there's these tiny accelerations up and down due to air turbulence.
Sure.
Like you're not going to get like it to be, level and totally stationary like it would be on the ground. Like the plane's like vibrating basically, right?
Yeah, no, but the other thing is he shows that there's like a couple of grams difference between the two weights in the different directions. And if that really was the case, that scale we should be able to repeat easily everywhere. And that's a massive change. It should be micrograms that we're observing. It wasn't. It was grams. Ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying that I don't think that. I think you'd have to do a lot of experimentation and be, testing the error margins of a lot of different variables in order to come up with any kind of credible weighing experiment in a flying aircraft of any sort, because there's too much. The air turbulence is causing accelerations up and down at all times. It's just unavoidable, right? There's just little tiny pockets of air that are basically you're just vibrating. Like you can see it in the Cody's lab video, right? He actually also tries to do his experiment when he's in a plane, right? And the scale's just fluctuating all over the place. He can't get it to stay in one spot. And I don't think it's due to an electromagnetic field created by the airplane. I think it's due to air turbulence.
Well, it's created by what I'm saying is there's numerous things that influence what happens with that particular piece of equipment, and it isn't reliable to say on its own without any shielding it is an accurate measuring device, because it's not.
Yeah, well, I don't even think any amount of shielding could prevent the micro accelerations. Anyways, I've already said that. But.
This is why NASA use satellites as the bullshit that goes along with this.
Yeah, exactly, because they avoid the air turbulence problem.
Right, and they always tell you about these reference frames that are travelling that you can't detect any motion in. And I've said this on one of the other Hangouts. I've been on all forms of transport, you name it. I've been on it all over the world, fast planes, fast trains, you name it. Not one of them can I ever say that you would not know you were travelling at a great speed, because you do.
Yeah.
This notion that when you're in a fixed reference, i.e. you're in a sealed container travelling at a great speed, that somehow that means that you don't get to feel the inertia around you, it's just rubbish.
Yeah. Well, exactly, because the wheels on the track are actually in a frictional relationship with the wheels are in a frictional relationship to the track. So what's really happening at the microscopic level is that you're speeding up and then it's getting slowed down. It's sort of braking against the friction and you're speeding up, and you know what I mean? Like you're constantly doing micro accelerations, and then the sum total over time is that you're accelerating. You're accelerating more than you're decelerating, but the decelerational forces of friction are actually having a momentary action on your body, right? So you're vibrating. You're vibrating forward. It's just that most of the vibration is in the forward direction, and only a little bit of it is in the backward direction.
All that's not happening is if you removed if you had an open top car and removed the windscreen, your not protected from the turbulence that the container that you are in is being subjected to. But that turbulence is still hitting the container and shaking the container with you in it. So yes, the container is sealed in the case of a train or whatever example you want to make, but that doesn't mean that the container's completely isolated from the outside influences of the things it's travelling through.
Yeah.
True.
Anywho.
Yeah, I guess the only way to really get a stable measurement is by building a Tower of Babel and to test if gravity is real.
Yeah, or a space elevator.
Sorry?
Yeah, a space elevator, right?
Yeah. Well, I love that idea. The space elevator is very fascinating.
Yeah, they should try to build one.
Well, it's not really gonna work now, is it? Because I'm
No,
pretty sure that there might be fluctuations in gravity, but there's no place where you can actually escape gravity, where there is no gravity at all. And that is kind of the necessity, because I think the space elevator was basically based on using the centrifugal forces of the Earth to keep the upper part launched away from the Earth to keep it straight. See? So that it would be so long that the most outer part would be outside of the gravitational pull, but letting the centrifugal forces remain, so that it would, yeah, basically stretch itself out. I think that was the concept of it. But that's not going to work. It's highly science fiction. So,
yeah. I also think it's interesting that, you know, with Cody's lab and Wolfie, gravimetric based on latitude experiments, that they insist that you have to use these cubes made out of particular materials, like certain metals. Like in Cody's lab, he uses a tungsten cube.
Ooh.
And that, you know, and they're basically
expensive.
Yeah, well, but it's also like, I wonder if there's something about those particular elements that are causing there to be that are adding a variable into the experiment, right? Because
tungsten is known to be the hardest. It's basically what in fiction is called adamantine. It's the hardest metal there is. They use it on drill tips to make at extreme pressures, because yeah, it can handle anything. It can handle any force and almost any heat.
Right, and it absorb. Yeah, it's the like most density per area for volume.
No, not necessarily. It is the toughest. It is compared to its density, it's almost indestructible. That's the most amazing part about tungsten.
Yeah, I'm not saying it has the highest density of all metals, but it's very, very dense and inexpensive for a metal of that kind of density. And you know, it's not like mercury or something where it's.
No, of course not. No, but it is not the heaviest, and it is definitely. It doesn't weigh incredible amounts. I'd have to look it up, but I don't think it's like as heavy as lead or something like that. It's just incredibly, incredibly strong.
Hey, Arwen. What about those places over here in the States where gravity doesn't really work the way it's supposed to?
That'd be interesting.
Hey, what would be the structure on the bottom? How would it give the support for the rest of the height of the elevator? Supposedly it's supposed to be 24,000 miles high.
Oh, we're talking about the space elevator again.
Yeah. I think I posted something about that 2 years ago. It's kind of retarded. I mean, it's just a pipe dream.
It's science fiction. I think it's really cool science fiction, but yeah, it's gonna stay science fiction because it's all based on the space universe and the being able to escape the gravity, basically, and the centrifugal force. It's the combination of all these elements that make it work. I love the idea. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's neat, but the bottom of it, what would support the structure at the bottom?
Well,
because if you look at like the towers, like the cell phone towers, they're kind of like they're wider at the bottom.
Well, the thing is with this type of system is that basically what they need is a very tough material, like well, I'm not gonna say it literally, but something like iron, like what steel is used for in bridges, because it has to be able to take not a push force, but a pull force, and steel is very good at holding together when being pulled at, because the structure of the entire thing, because it's being centrifuged, it's gonna be pulled on. So it's not going to be like pushing down, standing like a big needle or like a big monument or anything. It's going to be so tall that it's going to be basically pulled off the earth. And so it has to hold together. It has to hold strong.
Somebody told me it would snap
That's the
in half
concept about it.
if there was a rotate spinning motion to the earth. It would snap in half.
Of course, it's not going to happen, but that's the theory about that, how that's supposed to work.
Or does someone have the correct adjective? Because if you have forces that are having a centrifugal force applied to them, I know that the word isn't centrifuged. Maybe it is, but I'm sure that sounds wrong.
Yeah, you have to think about the temperatures too. As
Spun?
you go up in altitude, these temperatures go down to minuses.
Oh yeah, that's that's an entirely different matter altogether. The temperature layers. Although I'm not too sure if the object is going to be relatively to the Earth. The space elevator is going to be pretty much stationary compared, and I think that this temperature layer is not necessarily doesn't necessarily have to do with just being in that location. It's more like supposedly moving through that location at extreme speeds is going to cause all that heat, although I'm not 100% sure how that works.
It would be like it would cause shear stress in the materials.
Yes, pulling stress.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
that's why you would need a like a steel like material that can take a lot of pull strength, something like that.
Something probably more along the lines of like a high tech carbon fiber, like some of those lightweight nanomaterials that have an incredibly high that can withstand incredibly high tensile stress, because the weight becomes a big issue, right? So you end up needing to have this. You're constantly struggling to balance the like capacity for stress with weight, and I think that in the end, what they find with things like that is that you want to use something like these advanced carbon fiber type materials, like like the things they build F1 race car bodies out of and things like that.
Yeah, super light but super tough, flexible, strong material that can take a lot of pull.
Yeah. Oh, and Nathan, I just wanted to say, yeah, it is centrifuged.
Or is that the correct word?
Yeah.
Oh, I stand corrected, Darwin. Sorry.
It doesn't feel right, does it?
It sounds wrong.
Yeah. But it's correct.
I'm sure they would put some type of windows up there to fake the curve. Obviously, I think it's exactly what they'd probably do.
Well, it'd be great. You could put like a camera every mile, right? You could, and then you could watch them all together on like a giant multi-screen. But of course, they're never going to show us that, because that would be impossible since the Earth is flat. But hey, here's the other thing, though. I mean, given that the Earth is flat, we may be able to build some kind of elevator that wouldn't undergo those kind of stresses. Maybe we could.
Yeah, but then you would go to Tower of Babel.
Pardon?
That's the problem.
What's the problem?
Yeah, the problem is that because the Earth doesn't work according to the ball system, you can't build a like a space elevator. You'd have to go for the Tower of Babel type thing.
Yeah,
it's a lot more difficult, and well, it may anger God and everything. So who knows?
What do you think, Alan?
Alan, you're still there?
Sorry, I was drinking tea and eating fruitcake. So, Arwin.
Yeah.
I think Debbie's an actor. What do you think?
I don't know. The
No.
picture's pretty good.
Shout out to Pete
I
Shea.
hope it's the real.
Yes, shout out to Pete Shea.
I would say
Paul McCartney says hello.
you're more
Stop
likely to be an
harassing
actor,
Alan.
Alan. You seem like a more likely candidate.
We're sleeping. There he is.
You know, you've got your little character.
She could be hiding in plain sight, though, Nathan.
I think
They're
you're hiding
sneaky.
in plain sight with your, you know, your character and your narrative.
Okay, then here's a challenge. I'll turn my camera on if she turns hers on.
Oh.
Sounds like a deal. Who goes first?
Her.
But I don't
No.
care.
Ah, no,
I
no, no.
literally
No.
don't care what either of you
I
look
don't-
like. Does
You're
anybody
the one
in the
throwing the
audience care?
accusations. You'd have to
Debbie,
go first.
please do it. I really want to see Alan. Can
I want to see Alan as well.
you take one for the team, Debbie?
Yeah, I'm not going on camera.
That's okay.
Uh,
Just
That's
kidding
probably
around.
not-
Exactly.
Yeah, but I want to know would Alan go on camera?
You had your chance, Tony. She let you down.
Like you guys would say, what difference would her face make?
Well,
Wow. We'd have to see it to confirm
We
she
find
does
out
actually
the
happen.
Hollywood A-list actor. It's actually Angelina Jolie.
It seems catfish free.
The CIA has sent her in.
But for what? I mean, this is the thing. I don't understand. You know, what an actor does is get paid to do gigs, right? So, I'm not paying her. So, what's the motivation if she was an actor?
Well, global
Interest.
dominance and control.
maybe get attention, potential fame.
Just to
Your
have
camera
Attention
on.
for what?
Attention.
infiltrators throughout every kind of burgeoning grassroots movement, just to make sure that you've got lots of people planted in amongst the real people, quote unquote. No, and I'm not. This is not anything like an accusation, Debbie. I'm just talking hypothetically here.
I don't know, Nummy. You've convinced me.
Thinking it.
Well, I'm not looking for notoriety or anything. I just like to speak the truth and just learn about the world. I don't see anything wrong with that. And I've been invited on panels. Some I step up to and some I don't. Some I turn down. I was on Non Sequitur show. So I don't want my name exploited. I don't like people making memes about me. That seems to be the the comical thing to do is to post memes with my face on it, put a gun to it, and I think it's unnecessary and it's unacceptable.
Yeah, and then Jeremy,
I'm not-
why no one joins his.
I'm not out to gain for anything. I just want to just speak my mind, give opinions, and look at everybody's work that they're doing on the flat Earth, and everybody's doing a great job. The movement is growing by the numbers, so it's a force to be reckoned with. We need a model. Obviously, we don't have one yet,
No, we don't.
and we need one. We need it to be placed in the curriculum. That's my goal: is to shut NASA down for good.
We don't
for
need a model.
incompetence. Yeah, they need to be shut down for incompetence.
Debbie,
And they're spilling. Yeah.
we don't need a model. They've not got a model, and they've had 2,000 years. We got 2,000 years to catch up, right?
Perfect reading of the script, though, Debbie.
But they want. I know. But they whine too much. It's the whining I can't stand.
Yeah, forget that. We want
They
evidence.
whine about naps.
The check's in the post, Debbie. Well done. Perfect reading.
Flat earthers don't model.
Neither do ball earthers.
Yeah, well, for that matter as well. But I mean, we're just more honest about it, just like everything else, right? Like,
Yeah, we need to actually remember.
we don't know something, we say we don't know. When ballers don't know something, they make up some bullshit.
Bullshit.
They don't even have a globe image to present. I think anybody out there is going to pass me images of Earth. They need to choose wisely because I'm going to point out what I find wrong about it. And not only that, I'll just go ahead and mention that NASA told me that the Earth was paroid or spheroid. So that would not match their globe images. So everybody out there who challenged me on the globe images, step forward.
To be
And,
honest,
I'll-
did NASA really say that, or did Neil deGrasse Tyson say that?
When I mentioned it to the NASA engineer, yes, he agreed with Neil deGrasse Tyson. He said it was spheroid, not perfectly.
Evidence. Evidence.
Paroid. I like that word, paroid. It's like paranoid, right? Like these ballers, they're paroid.
Supposed to be the expert. Astrophysicist.
Paroid.
Paroid.
Well,
But are they paroid enough?
Reviewed by NASA now as well.
I think you'll find Earth is shaped like a truffle.
Testicle.
Shout out truffle trees. Shout out.
Yeah.
That's really bizarre. If the NASA
Shout out
engineers
Beetle.
now
Shout
say
out
that
Beetle. Beetle likes ice cream.
Debbie, can I just say, I don't agree with you that we need a model because they've not got a model yet. 2,000 years head start on us. Stop saying, don't say we need a model because we don't.
Models are dangerous.
Yeah, personally for me, I don't. But it's the whiners, the globies that whine about it.
Yeah,
even
but
if
they
you
don't have
give them a
one
model,
themselves,
they're going to poke. Even if you even try to give them a model, they're just going to poke at it and find, you know.
Yeah. So don't accept their point that we need a model. Challenge them. Well, where's their model? And let's have a template and follow it.
Absolutely, I say, where's your globe image, guys? We don't have not one globe image that's bona fide. So you have to ask the
one
question.
globe image
why
that
not?
actually not one globe image that actually conforms to what they apparently now admit. Namely, that it's not a perfect sphere. So I'm pretty baffled that they would actually say that and basically admit that the earlier images taken and that are presented to us are basically not correct. It's really bizarre.
And one time Nathan said that there was one image of Earth from space, and I always meant to ask him about it. Are you there, Nathan?
Yeah, sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
I remember it. I remember hearing you describe that there was an image of Earth from space. There was one. I can't remember what the context was. Can you remind me?
Yeah, the actual blue marble. That is an actual photograph from space, according to them.
Right.
Not composite, it's a photograph.
Do you remember the
African
ospreys, Tony?
The blue marble. Just type in blue marble. Not the 2007 blue marble.
That one's really funny though.
That's very fake. But the original blue marble is the one that Math Powerland focuses on.
America is like 10,000 times too large.
But
it's like half
the one with Africa and part of Antarctica.
When
the one where it's like half the Earth is America, like America. The ultra patriotic version of the globe.
This is the one that Math Powerland focuses on. So when he says photo or painting, he tips his hat, if you like, to the quality of that image. Now, if you look in any
Russia's
encyclopedia
image,
of Earth, that's the picture you'll
orange
get.
continents. They like orange continents for some reason.
So they're the reds, right?
The Russian globe.
No, they're not the reds.
Well, they used to be.
Yeah, but they're
Still
not
it's
now.
still in their blood, until the last.
They're just as white, red, and blue as you guys.
Red, white, and blue.
Uh,
White, red, and blue. Come on, Arwen.
I think that's actually the Russian flag. Or was it white, blue, and red? I don't know.
It's red and yellow. The Soviet flag, it's a red flag.
Yeah, but the Soviet look, it's no longer the Soviet Union. Okay, that's kind of an insult.
Well, I didn't say it was still the Soviet Union, but I'm saying the
original flag with the hammer and sickle and all that stuff. But that's over now. They have a white, blue, and red flag now. I think.
So what was the thing that Alan asked me if I remembered?
CGI ospreys.
I do, and I tend to agree with Nummy on that.
That was brilliant, that video.
It was. It was a brilliant analysis. Unfortunately,
it was judged by consensus.
Lost on many because the argument against it was CGI ospreys.
Yeah, so it was judged by consensus rather than the merits.
Nobody actually ever counter-argued what I was saying, and when we showed the complete down to the pixel utter lack of parallax on the ospreys and the nests.
squeak, squeak.
Yeah, no, that's actually a very sensible argument. I mean, all you can do is snicker and laugh, because the truth is that I showed that Soundly was a fraud, and Soundly remains a fraud, and that explains why he's able to show these images of the Earth curve that no one else has ever been able to see and nobody else can repeat. Right? There's got to be an explanation as to how this one single person in all of history has managed to capture this kind of imagery, and that nobody else can reproduce ever.
Why didn't you go there though?
Well, I would like to, but it's not. It's very, it's not close by or something. It's not like I can just drive over there in a couple hours.
Just sounds like an excuse.
Yeah, he's 3,000 miles away from it.
It's not an excuse. I mean, why do I have to go there? I analyzed the footage and showed that it was a fraud.
Yeah, but you can tell with Soundly's work that you can tell it's real because it looks so fake.
Yeah. You can also tell that, like, they never were willing to actually engage with any of that analysis. All they did was say, like, and to this day they just say CGI Ospreys in a mocking tone. That's your argument. That's your argument against the analysis, that was a very careful analysis that Riley and I performed.
Who cares? The guy's not worth spending any time on anymore.
No, I'm just saying to defend my own sense of my own credibility, is that nobody has ever debunked anything that I've ever said.
Yeah, it was dismissed with ridicule. That's different to debunking.
Yeah, even among some of the flat earthers were debunking me with ridicule, but nobody has ever actually demonstrated that I was wrong about any of it.
I mean, let's be honest, right? You got Soundly that makes it look the way he makes it look, right? Which, I mean, let's be honest. If you're going to look at it honestly, it's dodgy at best. You've got Red's Rhetoric that gets better pictures than NASA when he does the ISS transit of the moon with a P900, which is bad at nighttime for nighttime photography. And who's the other one that knocks around with them? There's one other guy, and I can't remember who it is now. It'll come to me. Oh, the Judge Heitnut guy. I don't know how you pronounce his surname. He does observations over a lake, and it's mirage to hell. Looks like there's more mirage there than anything else I've ever seen in my life, and he claims it's curvature of the Earth.
George Netanyahu.
George what?
It's pronounced Netanyahu.
George Netanyahu.
Yeah, okay. I don't know how you'd even spell that if someone told me to spell it, but any event, the point is, he also describes refraction to be the curvature of the Earth, and completely dismisses the optical effects that he's presented with. He thinks that it's the curvature of the Earth.
It's a real small.
Anyway, shout out to Rick Dickinson, died today.
Oh,
who's that?
He designed the ZX Spectrum.
What? Oh, right, okay.
What's that?
Computer.
What's that?
It's a computer, Arwen.
Sorry?
Computer.
Oh.
Early domestic computer.
Oh, wait. Yeah, now I get it. Yes.
I bet Arwen doesn't have a favorite version of DOS.
No, I use Commodore Basic.
See, when you use these one-liners, Alan, it makes you sound like an actor.
Yeah, just like Debbie.
You're recycling material now, Alan. It was funny the first time, though.
Okay.
No, I do actually have a favorite version of DOS, and that's Amiga DOS.
Oh, yes.
Loved it. Couldn't actually work with it.
I hate all DOS. DOS is a clunky and outmoded system.
DOS is good. 9?
DOS is good. Yeah. Disk operating system.
Yeah, who needs the disk?
Wow. Solid state hard drive now.
Oh, that sort of technology definitely proves it's a globe. Any technology.
Yeah. DOS proves the globe. Because the disk spins, right?
Yeah.
Wow, it's numbers. So proof right there.
So, Alan, are you a big fan of Soundly's work? You think that he's proven the globe with his photographic observations?
Well, he certainly put the time in, and none of you have disproved anything.
You don't think that Anthony Riley's put the time in? Just wait till you see what the bomb he's about to drop on your heads. It's going to be great. It's going to be glorious.
He just likes to go to the seaside.
Well, who doesn't?
Yeah, don't we all?
I like the seaside.
Seaside and ice creams, cockles and mussels. Crab sticks probably for Tony.
I don't know about the cockles, but certainly the ice creams.
Cockles are a bit slimy.
What is a cockle?
Seafood.
That doesn't sound very pleasant.
It's a sea thing, a crustacean of the sea.
Like
It's proper classics food, that is.
They drag them up with a massive tractor when the tide goes out.
Oh. Is there a more scientific name for that I might recognize?
I don't know. In Dutch, they call them sea pox because they stick to other shells.
Oh, okay. I think I know what you're talking about. Like we call them limpets, I think. Do they look like it's like a Chinese hat, kind of like a rice picker hat?
It's like a tiny beak inside of a bit of a beak that's inside of a bit of a chalk. Kind of looks like that, and they grow on other shells.
We call that a barnacle.
Oh yeah, could be.
Like a giant barnacles.
No, but they're very small on average. They can grow very big.
Yeah.
Only possible on a flat Earth.
Yeah. Obviously, barnacles are proof that the Earth is flat.
Okay.
I have a question regarding
how could barnacles ever possibly exist on the globe? Come on, Alan.
Exactly.
Hold on, boys. We got a question. Somebody's fed Debbie a line. Go ahead, Debbie.
yeah, I have a question regarding Red's capture of this rocket going backwards. He says that he gave Duran an invitation to go out there to Cape Canaveral and capture it. How come I'm not seeing any flat earthers go out there and capture this?
Because they don't want to hang around with Red. I mean,
yeah, I know, really.
The guy is like a toxic personality, and he's retarded.
Yeah, but it is a good point. Why does there not seem to be any flat earthers going out to Cape Canaveral or whatever it is they do it from these days? I'd well be there.
There has to be somebody out there that's, I mean, that can just go out there and just see what's going on.
Get yourself off, Debbie.
Do we have any flat earthers in Florida? Like, there must be somebody. To me, it's very far. To me, it's like driving the entire length of England to get there. Probably more, right? It would be like driving from like Scotland down to Brighton or whatever. So
that's only about 600 miles.
Pardon?
That's only about 600 miles.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't know. What is the distance between here and Canaveral?
See, Tony, he knows nothing.
Who, me?
Him.
Me?
He's not expected to know the distance or the size of England, is he? Really? Come on.
But he makes claims. Doesn't know the facts.
He's estimating. I might be right.
Are you guessing?
Yeah, I think I'm estimating based on.
Well, I would estimate he was about 3,000 miles away, based on depending on whereabouts in Canada he is.
Well, I'm in the southernmost part of Canada. Okay, so.
Oh right, so like near Minnesota.
It's actually 1,000 miles.
That's about. You could do that in a day.
Not really.
1,000 miles.
Alan, what are you talking about? Is he flying a rocket? Yeah. You could probably do 400 miles in a day before falling asleep at the wheel.
Well, the trick is to get two people in the car, Tony.
So it's like two. What do you call the whole island of Scotland and England together? Albion. It's like two Albions laid end to end.
Albion.
Yeah. That was the name that it had before it was called Britannia by the Romans, according to legend, anyways. Yeah. So I suggest that you guys reclaim this pre-colonial name of Albion because it's quite a pleasant word. You know that they were going to call Canada Albion. when they were thinking of what to call it when it became a country.
Nova Scotia. You know what that stands for, right?
Yeah, New Scotland.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we've got Nova Brunswick.
So, Tony, the big reveal.
Yeah.
How many pixel high is it?
No, I haven't measured the pixels.
Come on.
I haven't measured the pixels. It's big enough to discern that you're looking at something more than a pixel. Put it that way. Put it this way. To put it in the Rumpus's context, it's more than a couple of pixels.
Yeah.
Quite good now.
Yeah. It's obvious. It's blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
He hasn't seen it, but I've described it to him in full, so he knows exactly what he's to expect. And if he's on Friday, on Saturday, we'll reveal it on Saturday. Because I want him to tell us what the weather conditions should be. And if he tells us what the weather conditions will be or should be on his predictive model, then we'll do it on the Saturday. If not, we'll do it on the Sunday show. Because I really, really, really want Rumpus' toes to the fire. I want him to make a commitment based on the predictive nature of his model. And then we'll present it and see if it matches. And if it matches, then that adds credibility to the predictability of the model. If it doesn't match, then Rumpus has got a lot of explaining to do.
I predict
always likes to do that.
I predict that he's not going to make his prediction.
I predict that he doesn't even turn up at all.
Yeah.
I predict that if he turns up, he's basically going to say that he's going to now get to doing it, and then he's going to basically spend 2 hours arguing about other things.
Well, he's already been told all the facts. So look out for Rumpus on Saturday. In the meantime, you'll see Nathan and I over at the Juries in Birmingham tomorrow evening. And then we'll be presenting hopefully on Friday, on the Saturday for this great reveal. If not, it'll be Sunday. But we'd really like the Rumpus to be there because he's already been armed with the facts. And I'd like to know the weather conditions necessary on the ball to make it match what we see. And if he doesn't get the weather conditions or the atmospherics correct, then we know that there's no predictive capabilities on the model. If he gets it correct, then there may well possibly be a chance that he's fluked it.
Well, there may be a chance that his model works.
Well, he's just fluked it.
So what? It's just a model.
Well, let's see if he gets it right first.
Fair enough. So yeah, one last plug. So yeah, Flat Earth Convention UK, which if you want to check out the website is www.flatearthconventionuk.co.uk. So check that out, get yourself a ticket if you haven't done so already. And with that, I'm going to say first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully for sharing this debate. And also a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. If you've not done so already, be sure to like, comment, share and subscribe. I've been Nathan Oakley and I will see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!